Now, I told you yesterday in passing that there was a whole dramatic thing that happened between Davido, a lady called Anita, and Chioma. Chioma has had a very interesting past with Davido, in that they dated in the early 2000s, well, actually mid 2000s, right? Dated for a while, and then he cheated. There was rumors of a baby mama, and then they broke up. Later on, Chioma was given a few songs to her name, including a dedication. Dedix, alipatiwa Dedix, ile wimbo ya Give
I am
Me
looking for my
Assurance.
sister, Choma, my lover. Is
Yeah,
that?
there's that one. He
Uh-huh.
did like a few songs back in
Wow.
about 7 years ago.
Everything for Choma.
5 days ago, 5 years, 5 days ago, 5 years ago, he did a few songs for her, and I think he wooed her into the relationship. In fact, I think he also got her a Porsche. I remember she got a Porsche or something, a nice car that he bought for her, and we're just like, yes, queen, get yours, get yours. Oh, I love that. Anyway, now moving on. Right now, with all the things that have been going on between the two of them, we've seen a bit of drama, right? Unfortunately, they less than 2 months ago they lost their child, and somehow in the process of all of these things, but they rest in peace. They lost their child, and in the process of all these things, apparently later on, before the launch of the new album Timeless, he spoke about the fact that they got married traditionally. It wasn't a big white wedding or nothing. It was just a traditional marriage, and we were all like, "Wait a minute, what happened there?" So a lot of people were rumoring that it was due to coercion because they couldn't put the baby's to rest in his property if they're not legally married. There was a lot of stuff that was going on. There were a lot of rumors that was flying around until yesterday. We thought, even on the new album, si ameimba wimbo nyingi sana for Chioma. We are like, I beg. This man loves this woman. He keeps saying the way their love is timeless. All the captions, our love is timeless, our love is timeless, my fine girl, my fine girl. Kumbe the whole time, he has a whole baby girl in the United States, in New York, who's being flued around. Flued around. Her name is Anita. She's being flued around, flued around. They've been in an on and off relationship since 2017.
Yeah.
On and off since 2017. As he is buying all of these cars for Chioma, as he is begging and pleading for her to get back together with him, he is still dating this other girl in the States.
Another one from France. Mwingine alitokea
Oh my
leo
God.
asubuhi. Yeah, there's a French lady.
Is she pregnant as well?
Yeah, she's very pregnant. She was like, yeah, and she did the whole test thingy.
As well.
Yes, a black girl who lives in France is also pregnant allegedly pregnant for Davido.
Now, Davido has said, in one of the conversations he had with Anita, he said, "Why would you want to stress me? Be like the other girls. They took care of these things." So the thought process is he has had many series of girlfriends over time. He has had many of them get pregnant, but they have taken care of it in order to save him from stress and the public scrutiny of him having this many baby mamas around. Now, Chioma is still in that relationship. In fact, I went to her posts and I saw that as recently as last week. In fact, if you look at her timeline, it's always her and Davido, her and Davido, her and Davido. Reels. Oh,
That's for
where
me.
he's sweating, she's wiping him down. As in everything is just her and Davido, her and Davido, her and Davido. In fact, her name is Chioma Adeleke, which is the surname.
They got married.
Chioma Adeleke. But she's gone back to him so many times. He's cheated. She's gone back to him so many times. It begs the question, Wagwan babes.
Investigate. And it's the same reason, it's the same question we are asking Annie Idibia. Why do you still do you keep going back to this man and complaining on the internet? You will tell anyone who, yani ni wale watu ukikaa hivi kwa matatu, akae kando yako na kwambia acha nikwambie, wanaume ni watu wabaya sana. Madam, why are you still in the relationship? This person is hurting you. This person is doing you dirty. Mbona hujamuacha? What is the reason? Why do women still stick in a relationship after cheating?
Now, apparently there are some 10 reasons that we found during a little bit of research, and here are some of them. They are still in love. I'm telling you, love is a beautiful thing, but it can make you decrease. It will make you you decrease. You decrease so hard for this person that you will never see fault in them. And even if you do, you cover it with the blood of okay, maybe let's not bring Jesus into this, but you completely forget it because you are so in love with this person. You would rather have them while they're cheating on you than have them go away. That's one of the reasons.
True.
Love.
Me.
Hey.
Or they are just very naive.
Naivety.
Yeah, naivety can play a role, especially if it's one of those situations where there's a very huge age gap between the two people. You find that this girl is very young, she's from a very traditional setting, and especially, African women over time. And I've shared this conversation before where I told my mom, any advice regarding marriage and relationships from you, I take with a grain of salt, because African women have this thing of perseverance. Vumilia, yani your love has to first go through fire and temptation and all of these hardships before it becomes a beautiful love. As in, you really have to suffer before you have true love, and that doesn't make sense to me. But sometimes it's even the upbringing of this girl. Where did she grow up? Who did she grow up around? Did that play into the fact that she's a bit naive about how things happen in town? Because town, the husband cheats, they go to church and pray about it and say, you know what, the devil is after my marriage, but we are going to pray the whole away anyway.
Huh?
That sometimes it happens. Yeah, people are just a bit naive, and they need a bit of slapping. Slap them properly to come to their senses.
This one always bugs me because I'm just like, for what? Your children will end up looking at. I go ahead of myself. Because of the children. A lot of women will put their pride aside. They will put their self worth aside for the sake of their children. But my question always boils down to the same thing. Babe, your children are going to see you suffering. Your children will be, the way baby husbands can be mannerless, baby fathers can be mannerless. They will be caught by the child, alafu anaambia, shh, usiambie mom, and then they get bribed. Now your child is growing up with this image as an image of love. This is what your child grows up to think is what love should look like. Like you constantly fighting and bickering over, you cheated on me with this person. You constantly covering for him and saying, no, your father is like that. That is the image that you end up giving your child as the love that they should expect out of other people. And you're building trauma in your child. You would rather leave, yeah, this relationship and let your child see a healthy situation wherein the marriage isn't working, and instead of you suffering through it, you left so that you can have your own sanity. Do you know how empowering that is? So that your child doesn't grow up to be like, I shall suffer. Even my mother suffered. Let's not do that to each other, and let's not do that to our children. But most times, people with children never leave.
And sometimes people will stay because they literally cannot survive, or they think they can't survive without this other person. A case of severe codependence. And it's actually a very valid excuse, because I remember being in a relationship where I didn't even know how to, screw, light bulbs. I had never done it. So when I did it for the first time, I was like, oh, what's this? This is very difficult. As in, you become so codependent, or rather you function very well as a unit. So when this other person is not there, let me tell you, being a single parent is the ghetto. It is so difficult, because now all these primary responsibilities are all on you. And at the same time, you are figuring out heartbreak. You are still looking for quotes to post on Instagram. It's not for the weak. It is really not for the weak. So sometimes you're like, I think it's just easier if we work on our issues.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that then brings us to the question of, how we say hurt people hurt people? The same way broken families break other families is a narrative that people usually assume is true. If you came from a broken marriage, or you came from a broken family, you assume that you have to then hold on and staple and put together and stitch together the tatters of your relationship in order for you not to have
To
a
break the
broken
cycle.
home yourself. But you end up taking such else. You're constantly doing the most just to keep your family together. You don't want people to say, hao wanakuanga hivyo kwao, hata mama yake aliwachwa hivyo hivyo. For me, the narrative should always remain, are you happy? But a lot of people who've stayed in marriages because they're trying not to break the marriage, they're not trying to break the home. You've built such a reputation about your relationship and about your marriage and about your family that you don't want it to come tumbling down. The house of cards, you do not want it to come tumbling down, and therefore you stay. Babes, leave.
And also the fear of loneliness, because navigating life as an adult with responsibilities alone is really, really a lot. And sometimes when you finally find the one and you people are in love and you get married and you start a family and you're existing perfectly, and then this one person does you dirty. So now you're thinking about the loneliness that comes, especially when they were the center of your life. You were very codependent on them. You didn't even have a single hobby of your own. If you're going to have hobbies, we're going to do them together. If it's a thing of, I like knitting, they also have to like knitting too. So you find even the smallest things that bring you joy end up reminding you of this person. So sometimes it is so overwhelmingly lonely that just like, I need companionship. And I'd rather go back to what I know as opposed to now go into the soccer once again, because it's now the ghetto out here. You start learning colors. It's just a whole endeavor. It's just difficult. So sometimes it's very easy for the familiar person to just be the one to come back into your life.
True, true, true. And another important one that has caught many, 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 the finances. And I refer to one of the most public cheating scandals and sung about. Remember Beyonce and Jay-Z? Do you remember these two? She even did a whole album, Lemonade album, talking about how her husband cheated with Becky with the long hair, or was it Becky with the good hair? My goodness. And we were all mad at Jay-Z. We were all angry. But did she not go back and sing Drunk in Love immediately after? What am I saying? Finances can catch you in a position where by there you can't leave. You're so tied together financially. All of your assets are merged. Every business you've gotten into together is a business that you've gotten into together. If you start to sever your ties financially, it will take years, maybe even many, many moons. Maybe some contracts you will lose because they want you as a pair and you can't work with this person anymore. And therefore, you're like, all right, it's the money. We've built our finances together. Let's stick together till the end. Why? Because it's impossible to sever those ties. Imagine if Beyonce and Jay-Z were to break up right now.
It
How would
would
they
be
split their assets?
it would be a thing. Or
Crazy.
if you're financially dependent on
On the
this
person,
person,
yep.
because now I am breaking up with you, where am I going? This is your house. Are you going to be gracious enough to let us stay here while you go out and, seek to, pursue your own life that is without, it's just a lot. So first of all, at the end of the day, as a baby girl, get your own coins. As in kuanga tu na ka safety deposit fund. Kale ikiumana, when things go murama, there's some money you can grab somewhere and run and stand on your 2 feet. It's very important. And this is something, your aunties would tell you, your moms would tell you, like, ay, that sounds very, you know, doom. Like,
Doom and gloom.
yeah, why are you having a safety fund to run away from your husband? Anyway, adulting is adulting. Sometimes it's immigration and even like your profession, your professional relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe, as Kathomi stated, the Beyonce and Jay-Z thing, you guys have linked your finances so tightly that, everything has to happen with this other person. We also had a case closer to home, the Kabus. These people were working in the same house, in the same office, on the same desk. Hata wana desk different. Same office desk. Wakiwachana watafanya nini? Sara atabeba desk nusu ama
Again,
abebe
Bado he
kiti.
cheated. You know,
You
that's the
know.
worst part.
Allegedly. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the thing. Sometimes your professions, are tying you guys closer together, and like, hey, you know what, might as well. It's difficult enough that I'm going through heartbreak. Now I have to involve a lawyer to come and sever our finances, to come and sever all. It's a lot.
Yeah, and in some countries where you have to be married, like, do you know some jobs where if you're not married, you can't get those jobs? You've heard of these such situations. In some countries, you really do have to be married for you to keep a job, and therefore you will keep that job and you will keep. best case scenario. Remember the Miss Philippines, Miss Indonesia, the other one, Mrs. Philippines, the other day, when the two women were crowned and the first woman won, she became number one, the best Mrs. What is it? Philippines? I think it's Philippines or Indonesia, one of the two. And the Mrs. was then, her crown immediately was taken off right on the stage. Why? Because apparently she was going through a divorce. So she couldn't be a Mrs. whatever the country was, because her husband is not with her, and therefore she is no longer a
Damn.
Mrs. And the person who was the second runner up got the crown
Damn.
in public. And then
Damn.
apparently now she went and mended her relationship, and therefore she got the crown back. It was so messy. You guys need to see that
Opposition
story.
was doing research.
Hiyo story
Wanasema
ilikuwa
toa, toa,
moto.
toa, toa.
Wow. It was heavy. I will send a link on my social media. Catch me later. Utaona hiyo story. It was
That is
so
so Olivia
fire. It really was so messy. Imagine.
Scandalous.
It was so messy.
I would love to be the
at
PR
first
team
I'm like,
behind
why are
that.
they taking out her crown? Why are they taking? Because it is Mrs. such and such a country. Did you even know there was a Mrs. World?
I did not
My
know that.
God, it was so much. Me
That is
nilicheka.
insane.
Another one is if your families really just don't agree. It could be a situation where you want to leave, but your family is like, "Hapana, huyu ndio msichana wako," or you, as the man, want to leave, and the family is just like, "Nah, we've already. This is the one for us." And we've seen this happening a lot. Even ultimately, when you end up leaving this person, the next person is not accepted, or it's made so difficult for them to get into this family. So much so that you are completely disowned, or even completely what do you call it? Out. Damn the word. Ostracized. Oh my God, you are ostracized out of your community and out of your family. Hey, you don't forget. Remember Monday, Mr. Namibia from the young rich and African show. Remember he was ostracized from his family because he joined a big show, and he did bad things on the internet. Whoa, these things happen. And finally,
Finally. What are we saying finally?
and
Siri?
finally, they believe they can get through it.
And
I
that
think
happens a
that one
lot.
is another very big one. Like, you believe it's okay, we can work through it, and you really do put effort into it. You start to see marriage counselors and all of these other people who can help with your marriage, or spiritual leaders in your church or in your community, in whatever religion you go through, and you really do try and get as much help as you possibly can. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself whether you will stay with your cheating husband or you will stay with your cheating wife. It is entirely up to you.
And that only
Yeah.
works if this person is actually remorseful and they're putting in the work.
Mhm.
They are
Like
remorseful. As in, with Davido, I see no changes. I
Really?
see no changes.
But
you
isn't
know?
that, once a
Because-
cheater, oftentimes we've seen what
Yeah,
happens, they go
yeah,
back.
yeah.
They really do go back to cheating.
True.
Because it
So
was so easy the first time.
don't forgive them. Do not forgive them. Show them fire. We said this all the time. In a planet of 8 billion people, why do you believe that's your soulmate? Anyway, let me go home. Terus, my name is Tarife, and I'll see you tomorrow.
My name is Kathomi Kathomi. Same time, same place tomorrow. Bye.